Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ariffuddin bin Muhammad Saleh, and today we are going to present about an article review with two different articles. First, we move on to the introduction. The first article is titled Code Switching Phenomenon in English Classroom in the Tertiary Level. This paper was written by Shalini Argilan, Lubna Ali Mohammed, and Nitya Robi Krishnasamy. It was published in 2019. This paper explore about English language competency, code switching, and effect of code switching in the classroom, and code switching as a positive behavior. The second part basically explain about how the research was conducted and what method are used in the research. Beside that, this paper also delved into maximizing the use of code switching in the classroom, preference of frequent code switching, how code switching enhance better understanding of the lecture, and how code switching can meet the needs of the students. In the last part of this paper, the researchers wrote about the implication, limitation, and recommendation for future research. Second paper is titled Factor of Code Switching Among Bilingual International Students in Malaysia. This paper was written by Paramasivam Muthusamy, Rajatharan Munyandi, and Silali S. Kandasamy, Omrah Hassan, Maniram Subramaniam, and Atih Farashaihan. It was published on July 21st, 2020. This study aimed to identify the factor that can potentially affect code switching in a college classroom. The first part of this article basically explained about the background of the study. Moving on to the second part, this part explained how the research was conducted and all the methodology that was used by researchers in publishing this study. In the third part of this paper, we can start to see the result and discussion of this study. After the researchers provide the conclusion, implication, and suggestion for future research in the last part of the article. Moving on to the second part, which is the summary. The first article, Code Switching Phenomenon in English Language Classroom at the Tertiary Level. The research article studies topic of code switching in university English courses in Malaysia. It explores how code switching is used by both teachers and students, stressing its prevalence in a multicultural and multilingual settings. And the study goal is to learn how code flipping is perceived by teachers and students alike, as well as its significance in enhancing communication and comprehension in the classroom. The paper starts with an introduction that emphasizes the importance of language in social collaboration, particularly in educational context. It stresses the usage of English as a medium of instruction in Malaysian university. I'm sorry. The social-linguistic viewpoint is examined with emphasis on the widespread occurrence of language code switching in Malaysia. The style of this article is academic and formal. It adopts structured and systematic approach typical of scholarly writing. The language is precise, technical, and informative. The usage of specific terminology related to linguistic and education indicates that a targeted audience familiar with the subject matter. The author approached the topic from a social linguistic standpoint, emphasizing on the practical use of language in a multicultural and multilingual setting. Moving on to the second article, which is factor of code switching among bilingual international students in Malaysia. The study aims to identify the factor influencing code switching among bilingual students in Malaysia in a Malaysian college classroom. Participants include 20 students from diverse linguistic background enrolled in English course. Data was conducted through a semi-structured interviews revealing factors like incompetence in the second language, privacy, ease of speaking in the first language, and avoiding misunderstanding. The style of this article is formal technical and academic. The language is precise and focused on presenting the research finding. The author adopts a neutral tone and writing style is clear and organized. The use of citation and reference, such as mentioning specific studies and scholars, contributes to the academic tone. The author perspective seems objective as they present the study findings without expressing personal opinion. The language is analytical, emphasizing the identification of factors and influencing code switching in bilingual international students. We move on to the next part, which is the similarities, which is the analysis of the story of the article. I'm sorry. In this review or analysis, we will delve into the difference and similarities also from our own opinion. We start with the similarities. Both articles delve into the phenomenon of code switching in the context of bilingual individuals, particularly in educational setting in Malaysia. The first article provide a detailed background on code switching, defining it as the alteration of term of phrases. So, from two language during speaking or writing. It explores how the different forms of code switching, such as intersential and intersentential switching, and highlight its prevalence among bilingual speakers, especially in multiracial societies like Malaysia. The second article begins by emphasizing the role of language in social collaboration and communication. It discusses how language, whether verbal or non-verbal, is crucial for conveying insight and opinion. It then delves into the context of higher learning education in Malaysia, where English is declared as the medium of instruction. The article argues that code switching is common phenomenon in Malaysia due to its rich linguistic settings and multiracial society. Both articles share a common focus on the research methodology employed in studying the code switching, specifically in Malaysia, in the context of bilingualism in Malaysia. In terms of research design, both articles adopt a quantitative approach to explore and understand the phenomenon of code switching. Article 1 explicitly state the use of a quantitative method to provide with a general overview of code switching practices between students and lecturers in an English language classroom. Similarly, Article 2 employs a mixed method design, combining qualitative and quantitative approach. The setting of the studies is another area of similarity between these two articles. Both articles conducts their research in Malaysian educational institution with a specific focus on higher learning. Article 1 centers its study at Lincoln University College, highlighting the linguistic and multicultural context of the university. Article 2 also situates its research in a Malaysian language college, emphasizing the rich linguistic setting of Malaysia and the prevalence of code switching in this context. Both studies recognize the diverse linguistic background of the participant, including local and international students. Uh, I think that's all for the similarities, and I pass to my friend to explain about the difference of these two articles.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. My name is Syamili Sufi, and I will be presenting about the differences. So, the first differences or the main differences we can spot from the both article is the main idea or the issues. So both article discuss about the code switching, but the differences is the main idea. So in the first article, it discuss about the various factors of code switching among the bilingual and multilingual tertiary international students in Malaysia. On the other hand, the second article is discuss about usage of code switching between educators and learners. So the next differences is the methodology used in the research. In the first article, the researcher used mixed methodology which is qualitative and quantitative. On the article 2, in the article 2, the researcher only used one methodology which is quantitative. So we can see the evidence here in the analysis in the research on both article. They stated that they use qualitative and quantitative methodology in the first article. In the second article, we can see they stated also in the same section, which is in the analysis and the methodology, they use quantitative methodology. So the next differences is amount of participants. In the first article, the researcher only interviewed 20 participants of international students in University Malaya. And the second article has a slightly bigger amounts of participants, which is 40 participants of local and international students. On the last differences I can spot it from the both article is the targeted participant. In the first articles, the researcher only target international bilingual students. In the second article, the researcher targeted both local and international students in Malaysia. So that's the differences between the both article. Moving on into the opinion, uh, we will start with Ariffuddin opinion first.
This is, from my point of view, the result of the study suggests an arguable outcome regarding the efficiency and preference of the code switching in the classroom. Different situation or occasion have different kind of message or sentence context that will be used. Zentella 1997, as cited by Shazwani and Maliana in 2014, bring up that when they need to explain or help expound their message or ideas, bilingual speakers will switch the language. The analysis reveals that the analysis reveals that the majority of students, as indicated by the highest mean 3.45 out of 4, do not consider code switching as a problem, and they do not tune out when the lecturers engage in code switching. This implies that students generally find code switching acceptable and even preferable in certain circumstances. Furthermore, the study asserts that code switching enhances a better understanding of lectures among students. A significant portion of the students agree that teachers' code switching allows and improves the language learning process. This support the argument that code switching is useful in teaching and as teaching and learning tool, contributing to better comprehension in the classroom. The study aligns with the finding of Arifin and Hussein in 2011 that suggests that code switching can be beneficial for both teachers and students in terms of classroom interaction. I think that's all from me. Adam?
Okay, now from my point of view on the second article, which is the factors of code switching among the bilingual international students in Malaysia. So on what we have read and analyzed, we can see that the factors shown in after the result they have researched, we can see that 26 of international students are lack of competence in language in the L2, which is English, and 19% of international students that not knowing English words, and 12% international students assume it is easier to speak in their own language. These three factors are the top three of the highest percentage of the factors why they use code switching when communicate or socialize. And This is critically acceptable due to the research by Zeynep Koylu in 2018. In this research, the Zeynep shows in 4.2.1.4 students' level of English proficiency. He stated that CS or code switching strongly depends on students' language proficiency, and this strengthen the facts of these three highest percentage of factors why the code switching happens among the bilingual and multilingual international students. And I think that's all from me, and we'll proceed to the conclusion. So, to sum up everything, code switching is a common phenomenon in our education system. Lower education system also involved with the code switching phenomenon such as primary and secondary schools. This happened because of the variety races in Malaysia, which are Malays, Indians, and Chinese. In tertiary level, um, in tertiary level system is where the code switching gets obvious. This is because of the amount of bilingual and multilingual international and local students. So when they need to communicate each other or learning in class, they if there are students that lack of the competence of the L2, they tend to use code switching. So based on the article, it is proof that this code switching is helpful among the students and teachers and the educators. Sorry. Code switching is also one of the communication mediums in classroom. In our education system, in this report, I can ensure that code switching is used to help international students to communicate with their friends that have different background and cultures. Code switching is also used by lecturers to help incompetent students in classroom so they can achieve their learning goals on that day. So that is from us, Adam and Ariffuddin. Thank you for listening to our presentation. Assalamualaikum and have a good day.